By our third special guest of the morning. Welcome to the program, Tom Bush. Good morning, Tom. Welcome to us.
Thank you very much. Hi.
We're happy to have you here. You've got a lot going on in your barn, and the big horse in your barn, I think it's fair to say right now, a favorite of mine, Get Stormy. Tell us a little bit about how he's doing.
Yeah, he's doing very well. He worked a little faster than what we wanted last week, but he seemed to have come out of the work well. He's eaten well, and he does well up here. He likes the outdoors and the window in the back, and he's always done well here. It's his third season here, so yeah, we're on track to run on August 11th in the 4-Star Dave.
Excellent. You had a little mishap getting to the races up here one day last year. No problems, no stone in his path this year.
Yeah, we dodged a bullet there, and those things happen. Horses get loose, and it can cause havoc. But yeah, we were very fortunate that he actually turned out not to have been hurt.
Now, Get Stormy, a horse that last year won a couple of Grade 1 races, the Maker's Mark at Keeneland, then he came back about 3 weeks later, won the Woodford Reserve Turf Classic on Derby Day at Churchill. We're still looking to try to get him back to that form?
Yeah, I mean, we felt his race at Gulfstream was back to what he's capable of, and he actually ran a terrific race in the Maker's Mark this year. Even though he finished 4th, he was only beaten about a length, and he ran really well that day. The Woodford Reserve this year was a big disappointment, and he got stuck down on the inside, and it was very deep and wet on the inside, and Ramon couldn't get him out, and he had an unfortunate trip, and that's not his style. He's a free-running kind of horse and doesn't want to be bottled up like that.
We certainly are hoping he gets the chance to get the trip. He's always done so well here at Saratoga. Any idea? I have not had a chance to determine who is most likely going to show up next weekend in the 4-Star Dave, other than your horse. I'm sure you're hoping for not a lot of speed in the field.
Well, that would be nice, but I would be thinking probably Little Mike is going to run, and he's another horse that wants to lay up close too. So we'll have to deal with it if he shows up, and he's a very good horse.
I had heard that I think Wise Dan may be running in
That's correct.
that race.
That's
as
what
well.
they're saying, yeah. And of course, Data Link is in terrific form. So
and he'll just be laying there waiting for that speed to develop. So obviously,
he's got a great style for that.
It's going to be a little bit of a tough one. You've got a couple of horses that are in today. One I wanted to specifically ask you about, Whole Lotta Shakin', who's in for West for our friends at the Parting Glass today. You're going to stay in with this
I scratched her
today? You are going to
scratch her.
Okay.
Yeah, it's unfortunate. She actually ran in the slop in her first career start up here at Saratoga, and she actually surprised me. She handled it somewhat well, but we have a little bit of trouble with this filly interfering with herself behind, and I just felt like we couldn't take a chance. And she's really does like the turf, and she's had some great races, and she's in good form. So we were disappointed that we didn't get a run today. For
I know.
Sure.
I was over at the Parting Glass last night, and Tom was doing the no rain dance out there, hoping that the weather would hold out. Tell us a little bit when you just said she interferes with herself behind.
She wants to scalp her pasterns, and I think when she's on the turf, she's much less likely to do it. She doesn't have as much slide in her gait, so she's able to overcome that. But on the dirt, where there's a lot more slide, and especially in the slop, she has more of a tendency to do it. So we decided not to take a chance.
Well, hopefully that race will end up being carted back on the turf in the very near future, because I imagine you're not the only one that opted out of that.
Yeah, that's horse racing, and that's Saratoga weather for you.
Now, many years ago, you worked for a couple of Hall of Famers, Alan Jerkins as well as Angel Penna Sr. Talk about the influence they had on your career and what you learned from them.
Well, I mean, I always was a guy that paid a lot of attention, and those were obviously two of the great trainers of all time. So I learned a lot from both of them, and they're both not only great trainers but great people. So I was very lucky to work for two guys like that.
Another horse I wanted to ask you about, folks got to know him a few years back, Ban Rock. He won 8 stakes in his career. He really dominated the New York bred.
He would have loved a day like today, because he loves soft
turf. Sure would have.
What are some of your memories of him?
Oh, he's one of my favorites, and his owner is 97 years old, and she's still alive, and he's retired in South Carolina, and he gets ridden every day, and he's doing fantastic.
That's certainly nice to know. Yeah, whenever they run a soft turf course New York bred stake, I'm thinking back of the fact that horse
he was
dominated one year because they were all running a bog.
He was tough on that soft ground for sure.
Yeah, he was certainly a terrific runner. Have you got any up-and-comers we need to watch out for, Tom?
Well, I mean, the nicest filly I have in the barn right now is a filly of Chester Broman that's won 4 of her last 5 starts, and her name is Beautiful But Blue, and we're real proud that she's come on and done so well, and she's going to run against older fillies on Monday in a New York bred stake.
And Mr. Broman, certainly a nice client to pick up, obviously, upon the retirement of Mike Hernandez.
Terrific people. Really enjoy training for them.
You mentioned your owners, and you've mentioned several of these owners. Talk about the relationship you have to have with them in this modern age. Everybody wants to know everything at all times.
Yeah, well, I mean, the easiest kind of owners to train for are informed owners. And people like Chester Broman and Mary Sullivan, who owns Get Stormy, they've been in this business a long time, so they have a terrific understanding of it. So it's very easy to communicate with people that really have been in it a while.
It seems like that would be a lot easier than maybe people that have a different expectation, that don't know the game as well. But I'm sure you've done pretty well with some new people as well.
Yeah, I mean, you're constantly hoping to attract new clients. That's for sure. That's we need more business, and the smaller trainers they could use some more horses, because the big guys they really dominate.
I imagine it's very tough when you see some of the big outfits that have 300 and 400 horses, and they're all over the East Coast and so forth, and you've got a relatively small stable. But I think that it's fair to say that a smaller outfit can offer more personalized attention. It needs to make sure that information is out there.
I believe that's true, and we definitely try to implement that philosophy.
It certainly has worked so far.
And with the new increased purses here in New York, I mean, these main races going for $85,000, allowance races going for $90,000. How much of a boost is that to the thoroughbred horseman?
Well, I think it's it's going to take a little while, but it's going to have a great impact, and then you're already seeing it. I mean, the fields are full, and I've been excluded already twice in entries here, and I wasn't excluded in Belmont one time, so you can tell the entries are strong.
Sorry, Gene. Everyone in New York's really looking forward to the Saratoga meet. How much do you point your stable to peaking up here and getting your horses to run at Saratoga?
Well, I mean, certainly the 2-year-olds we do that with, and I haven't run a 2-year-old yet this year, and I have a couple that are very close. So, yeah, the 2-year-olds we give them plenty of chance, and they've got their gate work, so they're very close to being ready, and hopefully we're going to have a few to show off.
I'm sure that we'll be watching for them. Hopefully the weather will cooperate, and if they are turf horses, you will get your turf races, as unfortunately, Tom, you're not going to today, but we'll be doing the no raid dance that New York bred race comes back for a whole lot of shaking, and of course for next weekend for Get Stormy.
Appreciate it a lot.
Thanks, Tom.
All right,
Tom, thank you so much for joining us. We certainly do appreciate your time. We know it's a busy time of the morning for horsemen to get out here. We will pause for one more brief message. When we return, we will have NYRA's paddock analyst, Maggie Wolfendale, to talk a little bit about what she does every afternoon, and she is very busy. There's a lot going on every day as Maggie does her pre-race analysis. Thank you for joining us. Stay tuned for more of Cabin Low TV's The Inside Track.